Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you all. Today we are here for second episode of FİBA Commercial Properties Talks series. And today we are hosting William from Ticari Architecture. Welcome, William. How are you?
Very well, Rami. Thank you. Fortunately, everybody in our organization is well, and our family is well. And I hope yours are all too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to hear that. And Mr. Karman, how are you?
Thank you very much, Rahmi. All is fine, and we try all together to handle this pandemic periods. But looking to the numbers of vaccinated people, that makes really a positive effect on us as well. And looking that after more openings in different kinds of businesses and institutions, whatever, that people are really, outside and again coming to business, to the malls, to the high streets, and hopefully we will come over this all negative past, related issues regarding this pandemic and looking to a positive future, and we are very well motivated and hope we will progress as we have just mentioned with William beforehand.
Thanks. I would like to start with William. William, could you please briefly talk about Ticari Architecture?
Thank you, Rami. Yes, I'd be very happy to. Ticari Architecture is a group of talented men and women of all different cultures and backgrounds that provide for almost 4 decades now design services in almost 40 countries on projects that range from a variety of uses. Most of them are commercial, but not entirely. Also university projects, as example. And more these days, so many mixed-use projects where just mono-use developments are not as interesting as they might have been once upon a time. So we have offices in Los Angeles and Amsterdam and Manila. And I'm based in the Netherlands with our Amsterdam office.
Great. And I would like to ask you when and how your cooperation with FİBA has started. As I know, it has been a long story with you still at FİBA.
It has been a long story and a very good story. Over 10 years ago, we met FİBA Commercial Properties at a conference in Prague. And it was just over a conversation about how we think and mutually how we think about the way that people live and how they want to live that led to an invitation to see if we would be interested in looking at 2 projects in Bucharest. And that has led to many other projects working together in a very cooperative and positive way. So it's been a very good story, and been actually honored to be part of it because we've had many different clients, as you can imagine. But with FİBA Commercial Properties, I find that, first of all, that they don't go out to us in particular without doing their homework beforehand about the range of concerns, whether it's, certainly the financial aspects, but also the cultural aspects of the places in which FİBA Commercial Properties works. And that's really important because you have to be able to adapt to where you work. You can't you can't impose your business on a place. And that's something that I think has led to realizing projects with FİBA Commercial Properties, not just thinking about ideas or coming up with a development that they want to flip in some sort of transaction and walk away. It's a long-term commitment up front and beyond, which is, I think, a very wise business model, to say the least.
Exactly. And what are the things that you have accomplished by your cooperation with FİBA CP? Can you give us a brief information about that?
Well, a majority of the work has been in repurposing or redeveloping existing assets. Three in particular: Bucharesti Mall, Plaza Romania, and Inigul Shopping Center. And they all have different stories, and the approach has been different in each case. But the reason that they've been successful, in my view, has been that there's been an open dialogue back and forth between all parties, not just us. But one of the things that we like to think that we bring to the conversation is that successful projects need to be able to adapt to change. And during the process, there has to be flexibility built in, not only to the physical world, but also into the process. Because without that flexibility, there's problems in the future. And so these reinventions of these two projects in Bucharest and the one in Inigul have been real success stories. And the reason that they're successful is, well, it's twofold. And this is important. There's a financial success story. That's important. But that doesn't mean anything unless the community buys into it, to the place, that they're places that they like to be. Makes a huge difference. And so it's the community that has the final vote. And I understand that they're pretty positive votes for these three projects.
At that point, I would like to ask Mr. Kahraman. Mr. Kahraman, can you please talk about the decision of the renovation process in shopping malls?
I mean, in general, we are really observing the markets, the locations, and we see that the time is quite changing quite quickly. That depends on the development of the competition, the development of the catchment area, and all the other subsidiary points. So looking to the demographic systems as well, and all upcoming retailers, which upcoming new retailers are coming to the markets, and but in general, what is the demand, and how we can, position ourselves for the next decade. And in the past, it might be maybe that you have felt quite well in being there with your first shot of the mall concept and being there 20, 25, 30 years in a position that you had no needs to renovate or refurbish or enlarge a shopping mall. So we are each year, quite carefully observing all these parameters. And so we then decided, also looking to upcoming competition, how we do position ourselves for the next years and decades, and how we fulfill the demands of the catchment area. So therefore, we were working on the right sizes of the mall and of the right branches and tenant mixes as well, of the right concepts inside the mall. Is it more an entertainment mall, or is it more a mall which is for the need of the neighborhood area, or the more retail center, retail park? So there's so many points, so many questions to be answered. And I think here it's very important to know quite well in terms of all the parameters, what we need for this location. But we do need also have a good partner who then is not only setting up the concept design, but also the schematic design, and also understand our needs and our progress, our company as well. And from which perspective we are looking to the locations. Are we looking from an institutional investor point of view, or are we looking for third parties when we are managing their malls, like when there is behind a pension fund, for example? As you know, that we are also managing third-party malls, not only in Turkey, but also abroad. This capacity is set up by FİBA Commercial Property Management. So when we then start all this preparations, this needs some time, and the flexibility, what William, you said, is quite important. we, by the way, decided for one mall, I remember quite well, to say, let's shrink the size maybe of 10,000 square meters, implement that to an office tower, and get some synergies for the food and beverage areas. So we could always find efficient solutions by talking quite often and open and flexible. So this is important, and that the teams understand themselves. And finally, you need the teams for this. Let's start with the leasing team and asset and property team, as well as marketing communication team. So all team members, those parts of the business are very carefully investigating the market, investigating all the settings we have decided. So I'm very happy seeing the results. And as William said, there are so many companies having, ideas or visualizations, and unfortunately not realizing them. So we can be very proud that we, not only with you, William, but in general, as FİBA Commercial Properties, in the last 8 to 9 years, almost realized in different fields, almost 20 projects. That's quite well, not only in shopping malls, but also in office buildings, cinema, and recently we are now building again a residential project in Bucharest. And I think this all comes together. But for this, as I emphasized beforehand, is great teamwork, great understanding, and very good investigation of the market values, of the market situation, and all the parameters.
Thanks. And all we know that renovation projects are really tough projects, and there are many external and internal factors that directly affect the success of the project. So what are the achievements that you set as a goal before you started the renovation projects, William? Like in Bucharest Mall, Plaza Romania, and İnegöl Shopping Mall. And also, if you evaluate the renovation process, what comments and consequences you can make?
Okay, well, that's a good question. The renovation projects are the most interesting of projects, in my view. Way more interesting than a brand new greenfield type of development. And the reason that is that you come to a project that already has layers of existing conditions that really require the entire team to think specifically about what these tea leaves mean, okay? Whether it's business layers, or more importantly, layers of the physical context, the place that it's in. And in many cases, an existing project does not relate well to its context, whether it's physical or cultural. And that's an objective that we bring to the table. Let's make it valuable to the community in which it's in. So the valuation, as like Mr. Karaman mentioned, it's not only for the end investor, the institutional investors, it's for everybody. And unless it's for everybody, the value diminishes. And I think now too that in future, I think the valuation of commercial properties in general is under a lot of pressure. What is the value of that property? But I would tell you that when the property is engaged with the community, the value is higher and more sustainable. That's important because it's the community that are, it's like the tenants and the retailers are not like a third party. They're a part of the community as well as the users. And the nice thing about FİBA Commercial Property is that intimately knowing what a trader needs to succeed is critical, because unless you know how that works, it doesn't matter. And if I could summarize all of these repositionings and refurbishings, it's when we start talking about it, the place, we don't start talking about architecture. I think Mr. Cardamon will tell you this. We talk about the spaces between the buildings, because that's where the value is. That's where the experience is. Many architects initially want to start talking about buildings, look and feel right away. But we feel that we have to earn that first. And unless we know what happens between the buildings, the look and feel is meaningless. And so that's one thing about repositionings and refurbishings, which we as an office worldwide really enjoy. And it's going to take a new dimension now, especially with the idea of blended uses. And you know, just going back to what Mr. Cardamon just said, he mentioned already, yes, where FİBA is doing residential, FİBA is doing entertainment, right? And not coincidentally, but the greater FİBA idea is engaged in universities. Those aspects of learning and living in a community are really important. And FİBA is there from the beginning to the end. And I mean, yeah, that's one thing that we think it makes the relationship between STIR Architecture and FİBA Commercial Properties a good one. It's an open and meaningful and respectful conversation.
Let me maybe add to this point. I mean, I think it's very crucial that you said, I mean, it's not buildings. And so we have seen that also within our many surveys, what we set up and what we have evaluated beforehand. So the real need, and we have also seen what kind of internal communication of the shopping mall needs to be changed or optimized. There were so many points. I mean, we have really analyzed in different parts with the catchment area, with the neighborhoods, with the retailers. And that was a progress of almost 6 months minimum for a project. I mean, before entering, otherwise we would have had also definitely negative results. And by doing this, what was important for us is that we are preparing also the needs for the future. I mean, it might be that we are again, what we talked in Inigo, for example, William, you remember, or so in Plaza Romania, that we might touch again in 5 years some parts of the mall. And today we did the decision, for example, or we have done the progress to have then the flexibility also to change in 5 years some segments of the mall or of the building. So this is very important today. And when I see different developments and projects where the architecture or the building is much more visible than the needs and then the products itself, then it's almost a very huge challenge to bring this project or this mall on track. I mean, so the meaning of that is that we can avoid beforehand a lot of, I mean, negative impacts for the future of a sustainable mall or of a sustainable project. And this is important. And that is, again, what I said to also my teams and as well when we were together, so that development department and leasing department as well, asset property management, and all this management parts of our company have been so much involved to be flexible also in the future and to act flexible on the needs of the markets, which are changing very quick and very fast. So it's also a part of risk management, by the way. And I think this is quite crucial. So it's not like just coming together and finding two companies together and then there's a success. It's not like this. I mean, if you would not have this amazing, I mean, know-how and experience in different parts of the world regarding the renovation refurbishment, what you have done already and proved. And if we would not have this, I mean, great experience in managing malls and as well in developing such projects in real estate, I mean, then the success of what we have done might be different. So it's very crucial to bring these forces together and combine. It's not like, you know, taking a stick in your hand and then taking a rabbit out of the head. So this is not the case. So when people are observing, watching us, saying, I mean, okay, that's the philosophy. It's not. I mean, it's a huge work behind and a huge challenge, by the way, huge challenge. And again, a great responsibility we need to answer towards the investors as well.
You know, you reminded me, Mr. Karaman, of a very important aspect of successful redevelopments. And I just want to discuss, just to mention it just a bit, that what we find is that when there's a diversity of experience in a place, that it's a very positive thing. It's not a mono experience for some very, very practical reasons. And you mentioned it, Mr. Karaman, is that, for example, when there's a series of districts in the development and each has their own qualities, different, it means that you can in future adapt one district without having the rest of the districts look left out. This is a very practical thing. It's a strategy from the very beginning about, I'm going to make a new look everywhere. So that means, frankly, if you, in the future, if you just adjust one area, the others are going to look left out. And that's not very practical to do. So with this diversity, you can achieve it. And the very practical thing with redevelopments is phasing, because the tenants need to be in operation during much of this. So once again, this is a key strategy towards success about the idea of different districts and so forth. For us at STIR, the way we look at it in that regard is that we don't think like building design. We think like city design, where there's streets and squares and landmarks and edges. This is very adaptable because successful cities, as you know, are adaptable to change.
Exactly.
Thank you. Both of you emphasize that the relation between these two companies are key elements of the success behind these renovation projects. And at that point, William, I would like to ask you, can you please tell us about your expectations between FİBA and STIR? What will be the potential projects or opportunities between these two companies?
Well, on my biggest wish is that the total, as I touched base on it a little bit earlier, that the world of FİBA is a large world of different uses: hotels, residential, entertainment, retail, in different contexts, urban, suburban, and universities. I would like to imagine that there's a point when the qualities of all of those come together in a series of blended developments. Take the best aspects of all these and grow from that, because we're at a point now where there's new typologies needed in real estate. And so if you ask me my wish list, well, this is a perfect wish, because with FİBA, it includes the investment potential, the money required to achieve these. It includes the ability to listen, the ability to lead, and to cooperate and collaborate. You can't achieve a project unless you can collaborate with the local politics, for example. It's critical. Otherwise, you're out. Because these projects, they don't happen overnight. It's a long period of time, frankly. This is real estate. You try to shorten up as much as you can, but in order to survive that long duration, you have to have those qualities which I mentioned, which is diligence, open eyes and ears, and purpose. And just to go back again, but in the future, I don't look at FİBA Commercial Properties as like a mall group. Maybe once upon a time that would be a big part of it, but it's becoming more than that because it needs to. And I think that's exciting.
Thank you. And Mr. Kahraman, what about your wish list with Steer?
I mean, my wish list is first of all that we are looking to the future in a manner what we did also in the past. I mean, quite realistic and as well looking for future opportunities that might more coming into really sustainable mixed-use projects, as you have mentioned, and with different dynamics and communications in the projects itself. I think we have serious plans for different kinds of projects and as well different fields in the world. So there are definitely points we will come together, learn out of our experience, and will hopefully do efficient projects as well. And also from the learnings we have done and from the experiences as well. But there will be some hybrid models as well coming up. I mean, we will see that, and we talked about that pandemic times, we have learned a lot worldwide from our real estates from China to Eastern Europe and also Southern Eastern Europe. So many projects we have done, we have seen, and we have had lockdowns and again openings. And but looking to that, I mean, what will dominate the future? I think we are quite well prepared. And in terms of ideas and in terms of management, because using this all synergies worldwide, we do have, I think, very good answers, which we might transfer and bring, for example, to Western Europe, where we have, I think, great added values and where we can really entertain projects together. So there will be a different need of different projects, of different kind of projects in real estate. And I do think we have very good answers to this. And I do hope that above all, which is important, that when we start a project, and this is always my wish, as William knows, the first sentence when we come always together is when we do start a project, let's please also finish this project. I mean, we don't want to be in the press by or media saying we start a project and then 10 years later, someone is raising a question, by the way, what happened with the project? You didn't realize it. So I think this is also a great efficiency. I mean, what we have achieved together, that all projects we have started, we have realized. And we have realized in time, in budget. And so we put on more strengths again. And this is my wish. And all over this is having, I mean, this wish coming together, being healthy. And when we are healthy, we will definitely realize new projects as well.
Thanks. I would like to thank William and Yurder Kahraman for this great conversation and being here with us today. And I will be happy to hear your final words. William, first you.
Okay, thank you. Final words, that's a tough one. Because it's always the next word that we want. That's what we're talking about. There's nothing final about this. The final word is that successful developments are about making choices and prioritizing the choices. And that happens when there's a dialogue between all the stakeholders. And that what we hope, and I think we try, is that every member of the project team can be a spokesperson for that project. Everybody knows why decisions were made. And that is how projects get built. Nobody can just sit in the back and say yes or no, or say nothing at the most. Oh, those are my closing things. It's about a collaboration, and egos can stay outside.
Thank you very much.
That's very great. My last sentences are, we are looking to quality, to sustainable projects, which are, capable to pay the loans and all this stuff. So we are not looking to the number only of the projects. We are looking to the quality and to the responsibility we do have towards all the players, which is connected to a project. I think this is very important. And setting up a brand and a real estate company and ensuring the future of this is so much linked to collaborations, as William said, and evaluations and experiences. It's not like looking to this video or watching us and saying, okay, this formula is so easy. I just call a company and ask them what they have done and bring them together with my teams. If anyone is thinking like this, that will be definitely a very bad project, by the way. It needs time, it needs experiences, it needs challenges, and it needs quality, above all, to secure the future of a real estate company and a brand. And that would be my last sentences on that. Rahmi Bey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And one more thanks to our followers. Thank you for watching us, and we hope to meet in our next video again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rahmi Aydın. Thank you, William. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.